Today this video comes to you from Athens, Tennessee, where I'm talking to new farmer Charles Mayfield about what it's like to start a farm on the side. On the side while working a full-time job and raising a family. And oh, by the way, that thing on the side, farming, is also a full-time job. We're going to find out what it's like, how he does it, how he balances it all out. Stay tuned for that coming up in this one. Charles, we're on your farm here. We just had breakfast with your wife, with your daughters, with your mom. Your parents are around, your kids are around, your wife's around. How important is the family aspect of small-scale farming to you?
It's everything. I mean, to be able to, not only to be able to manage the day-to-day actual farming, but just having your own little community. I mean, if I could point at one thing that really got us into small-scale farming, it would be to feed our family the best food we could get our hands on. And so it's been kind of fun. I mean, my brother, who's sort of come from the industrial farming, vegetable farming side, and my dad, the industrial dairy side, and everybody eats our food and they love it. I mean, we had breakfast around the table. It's a daily opportunity to connect with kids and parents and wife and family. So yeah, it's up there.
And you're doing this all really on the side. Full-time on the side is the new thing I'm starting to say, because you also have another full-time job working in an insurance business. How do you balance both? How's that work so far?
I think you have to pull your passion. You know, you got to really, I mean, my passion on the insurance business is really trying to identify and work with companies that I'm excited about. So like we were talking this morning about my chicken processor, I'm working with my beef processor, one of the red meat processors now, and restaurant groups, and just food-centric companies is really fun for me to go in there and help them. You know, insurance is, it's a bottom line. You know, every dollar saved in premium goes straight to the bottom line. It's free money. And so having the opportunity to go in there and work with them, same thing with the farming. There's a lot of synergy between what I do professionally and what I do, I guess, full-time on the side.
So you enjoy what you're doing. How much of it is also you have to do the insurance side of things? This is something I think comes up in a lot of people in any business, farming or not, struggle with as entrepreneurs, is starting it on the side. How do you view farming on the side and transitioning to full-time farming? And do you want to transition to full-time farming and leave the other side of things, the insurance business, behind?
I can't answer that question yet. I love doing both, and I really enjoy meeting people. I think I spent 16 years in the insurance business before venturing off on the gym, cookbook, and inevitably farming path. And getting back to insurance was fun for me. It's a people business, and I really enjoy getting out and meeting people and understanding. I mean, understanding what they do and how they create value and improve the world. And that's when you deal with insurance, you get to do that. I don't know that I ever want to leave that behind. The gym business was the same thing. The thing I really enjoyed most was creating opportunities for other people to come into a system and thrive. And that's really what I look at as farming. For me is, I mean, right now I'm sort of doing everything, but I need to do that. I need to learn this, I need to know this, I need to know my time and motion studies. I got 2 young kids that are interning with me. I think one of them's got real promise. And so, you know, giving that kid an opportunity, I look at my role and responsibility on the farming side as really building a market. I've got a number of different sort of wholesale customers that I'm massaging and sort of engaging in conversations with to create markets, to create demand. And also right now, simultaneously learning how to meet that demand at any scale. So ultimately, I think I'm going to probably be a really busy guy forever.
Right.
I love it. You guys got a small glimpse into some of my artisanal distilling work while you've been here. I mean, I just like we'll go tour Dad's workshop. I mean, I'm happiest when my hands are busy and the sun's beating down on my face. So insurance affords me that latitude, getting out, meeting people, you know, walking through their businesses or manufacturing facilities or restaurants or farms. You know, I love that aspect of it. I don't think that I'll ever get rid of any of them, which is hard to, I just don't have an answer right now.
If you did cut off the insurance business, say you decided, I just want to go full bore into the farming thing.
Sure.
How different would that be? Because you're eliminating a cash flow stream that no doubt helps put money into the farm business to get that started up, but it also pays living expenses that you guys need. If you cut that off, how would that change your approach?
I think I'd be a little more aggressive on the marketing side with the farm, for sure. I mean, we created a really, with this buying club, and I know we'll get into more detail maybe later, but I think this approach allowed us to not get too far over our skis in the first year in terms of learning the management and just interplay with the animals, you know, multi-speciation businesses. So, you know, we raised a certain amount of money and we basically just threw all of that money into the farming. So we sort of kept insurance and farm money separate. What would change? I would probably have a website for the farm, and I'd be beating the streets just as hard, selling wholes and half pigs, and we'd probably, within short order, have a lot more broilers on the field and a few more layers. And I don't know about cows. We've got 12 cows right now, and I think that's plenty. But
well, with all the animals and doing this, how do you split your time? Like, how do you get everything done on the farm that has to get done? Because animals have to get fed, have to get let out, have to get moved. And on the insurance side too, you're also responding to clients that have to be responded to. So neither one is one that you can totally just park for a while and focus on the other. How do you balance them both out in reality?
You test a lot of stuff. I mean, the great thing about this farming, this sort of restorative, regenerative, holistic, pasture-based business is it's not a lot of work every day, but it's work every day. And so Julie's been really helpful on days where I've got to maybe leave here at 4 a.m. and go to Atlanta for an all-day prospecting session. But the reality is it's an hour or two in the morning and 45 minutes in the afternoon, and in between you do as much work as you can on the day job. I mean, that's the reality of it. Depending on what animals we've got. I don't have broilers right now. You know, broilers is every day, move them every morning, same time. You know, that's that's a chore, as Salton would call it. You know, you can't have too many chores. You got to have some freedom. So I can set things up around here to where the daily management for that particular day might just be make sure the fence is hot, make sure the water is working, done.
Right.
So I plan around, you know, if I know I'm going to Atlanta or Nashville for the day job, you know, a day or two in advance, I may move the pigs a day early just so I make sure they got fresh grass and fresh water and all that. I may set the cows up for an extra day and a half or 2-day paddock so we don't have, you know, I know they got plenty of grass, plenty of water, so that, you know, in my absence, either the intern kid or dad or my brother or Julie can step up and with very little hands-on heavy lifting take care of things. Sure. So yeah, I mean, we're learning as we go though.
Right. So you're doing the insurance business in addition to farming, and a lot of people who come into farming from a non-farming career, engineering, retail, insurance, they look at that as I don't have any experience. What have you taken from your experience in the insurance field that's given you a big, as Salatin would say, an unfair advantage when it comes to farming?
Well, paying attention to the time and motion. I mean, I think that's sort of ubiquitous with any business. But insurance, even my history with the gym, it's all about sort of self-promotion, which is tough for a lot of people. It's been tough for me. I will tell you that the farming thing that is unique is you grew it yourself. Okay, and you really, there's I mean, I guess if you were making hand knitting quilts, or if you were, cooking, my wife and I have written a couple cookbooks, you make the recipe. So there's a level of pride that comes in your work. I love insurance. It's phenomenal. It's a phenomenal career, but I don't make any of the products. I just sell them. There's an added, I guess, degree of ownership and pride that comes with raising something and selling it. Raising your own food.
One thing I see that I'm assuming insurance is this way because I came out of the finance world, it's you learn to build relationships, foster those relationships. You learn how to communicate with people and tell those stories, and that has many trickle-down effects. And like, you've built this social capital in the community, and really your family has in this community for multiple generations. And that's another thing I think a lot of people discount is social capital. And that's really worked out for you, because initially when you went out to sell your product, you were talking earlier, you typed up an email, you sent it out to people within your network in this buying club format, and it worked out really well, and that gave you a huge catalyst, a nice chunk of change to start putting into the farm. And that wasn't going out prospecting people that I'm sure was uncomfortable to contact. It was just really people that you had dealt with in the past. Yep. And they did it because they believed in you, or they liked you, or they'd had a good experience with you or your family in the past.
Yeah, it's all about relationships at the end of the day. It's all about forging deep relationships. You can do that with any channel of life, whether it's professional or social. I mean, if I picked up and looked at our buying club list, I mean, it's some folks from our gym pass, and some folks from the insurance world, and some family, and some local. And one gal, one of our biggest supporters is a local person, older woman, her and her husband. And she started reading, I think she started with Food Inc. a couple years ago, and then started reading some of Salatin's books. And she's joined purely for the, purely to experience this farming thing that in her words, she's too old to start it herself. So she's a vicarious participant. And they come to the farm, they live probably 20 or 30 minutes away. They come to the farm every 10 days, whether I'm here or not. And they'll walk around and go see the cows or go see the chickens. And I mean, they gave us a big check, and they get food every week, but it's this eclectic, really fun group of folks that I tell you, the part that I'm starting to have fun with now is we've got probably a dozen buying club members in Atlanta, and I realize that it's really, if there's 12 of them, there's really 4 pockets of 3. And so sort of starting to introduce those people together, because now they had, they didn't know they had this common link before. And so you sort of bring new people together through food, and so, maybe it's, well, we're not going to, one of them might be coming up to get their food and connect with another one and say, can I pick you up anything? I mean, you just get people, you get people around the supper table,
right?
Metaphorically or literally, but you sort of get them around the supper table, and that goes back to relationship building. I mean, that's business 101.
And a lot of these soft skills, the intangible skills, these are the things that I think really make businesses work at the core. They're understated versus how do you manage chickens on pasture? How do you build the chicken tractor? And a lot of these soft skills, the relationship building, the importance of social capital, those are things we all talk about in the workshop that we do, the Farm Business Essentials Workshop. You attended one last fall. What was your big takeaway out of that workshop that's really helped you and your farm startup?
Oh man, so many. I love as much as of a baby kisser and handshaker as I am, diving into the numbers, Darby's numbers, and really kind of getting into the time and motion. As a startup farmer, that was very helpful for me, because you're going to make mistakes, those are unavoidable, but kind of understanding the financials behind, cost per bird, cost per pig, especially in our situation where we had a limited budget. however much we raised, that was what we agreed we were going to throw into this. There's been some wiggle room here and there, but it's kind of sitting down and taking that number and going, okay, what can we raise? Well, if this is our cost per pig and this is our cost per chicken, how do we massage this to create the most value for our customers, for our knowledge base? I mean, we were in this to learn. So, Darby's amazing at crunching the numbers. And I think that's probably one of the biggest reasons that he's been so successful. And obviously you talk to a lot of farmers of varying sizes. And so sort of the biggest takeaway for me from the workshop was the very, very in-depth look at the numbers. And then just sort of, I guess, the new exposure to looking at marketing from a farmer's market perspective, and how Darby sells his products different than the way I was initially thinking I wanted to start our farm. Sorry if I'm hitting your mind.
No, that's okay.
So Darby does things Darby's way, and I've admitted to you guys I've read a lot of Salatin's work, and Salatin does his stuff his way, and then I've been down to White Oak Pastures, which is absurdly huge and big, but they do their thing their way. And so the biggest benefit for me was the combination of all the exposure that you've had to various grass-fed life and John Siskovich and your history with Permaculture Voices. I still want to meet Paul. Is it Stamets?
Yeah.
I got to meet that guy one of these days, because we've got cows in the pasture, we've had a lot of rain, there's mushrooms everywhere, and I'm thinking, oh, the mycology of this is amazing. Anyway, but having all of that experience, so actionable, ready experience with Darby, and all of the exposure to different methods and marketing methods and growing methods and scaling methods that you had, it was just sort of the total package. And for us, when was that? November?
Yep.
Mid or early November. By the time I showed up, I had broilers in the field and pigs on pasture. So I sort of jumped ahead a little bit, but man, to have that leading into and up to us really cranking this thing off was invaluable. And then I tell you that the other big resource has been, and I haven't used it as much as I should, but the Facebook group, and just being able to fire. I took Facebook off my phone.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And it's not accessible at my office through the server. So Julie said to me the other day, she's like, I sent you a turkey article on Facebook. I was like, honey, I'm checking that stuff like once every 10 days now, But man, to be able to throw a question up on the Simpson Facebook group, or a challenge, or just watching other people's challenges. I remember there was a solid 2 weeks where people were having pork processed, and it was like, is this the right kind of rib chop, or how does my marbling look? And you just get to vicariously answer your own questions without actually having to ask them sometimes, and that's great.
Yeah, it's just being part of that active community.
And it's very active. John Gardner, remember John? John and I connect through Facebook and phone on a regular basis, and that would have never happened without the workshop. And they just moved to North Carolina not too long ago. So, and he's doing lamb, so he gets to vicariously live through my cow experience, and I get to vicariously live through his lamb experience. And so we're just sort of sharing a lot as we go, and that's that kind of stuff. The relationships, again, sort of back to marketing 101, the relationships you get out of a workshop like yours and Darby's is you're running into a potential lifelong friendship and shared values and shared culture, which is that kind of capital's, you can't put a price on it. We're all different, but we all sort of have the same, I think, overarching goal, which is to raise some healthy food and support our family and be an asset to our community, wherever that community might be. So yeah, the workshop was And I got to bring my dad. I tricked my dad and my brother into coming, and I think they both got a lot out of it. And I was actually really hesitant with Michael's sort of industrial background, but his participation in the agritourism business. I mean, we talked earlier about that. That could be a real boon for a lot of people in our world. I'm anxious to see how his world and my world get to mesh this fall when his corn maze gets cranked up, and I'll have chickens in the brooder or pigs out on pasture. And so, yeah, the workshop was money well spent, money and time very, very much well spent. So.
There you have it, Charles Mayfield of Mayfield Pastures. If you want to follow along with everything that Charles is doing or learn more, go down below and visit the link for Mayfield Pastures. I love Charles's approach to how he's approaching doing another full-time job on the side, balancing his full-time insurance business with his full-time farming thing, and how he tries to wrap his family into that. It's definitely a challenge. It's one of the biggest challenges that I face as a self-employed work-from-home entrepreneur, is balancing it all out. That's why I don't put as many videos up here on YouTube as I would want to, because there's just so many factors involved. When it comes to farming, Charles is doing his best to balance it out. I hope you got some nice tips and tricks and different tactics that he's using in his life that you can apply to your life and in your context, because balancing it out as an entrepreneur is never easy. Originally, I met Charles at one of the workshops that Darby and I hosted, the Farm Business Essentials Intensive, back in November of 2016, last year. This year, we're hosting that same event again, coming up in October of 2017, just a few months from now. If you want to learn more about that workshop, check out the link below, or go to permaculturevoices.com/farming workshop. That workshop focuses on everything that you need to know to start a full-time or part-time farm-based enterprise. Could be a small-scale thing like a farmstead, could be large and big scale on 100 acres. We go beyond the tools and tactics that you would use in the field, and we get into things like holistic context, budgeting, balancing life, scheduling, all the things that go into starting a business and go along with entrepreneurialism, beyond just the things that Joel Salatin would talk about on how do you do this in the land. But for people into that, we do cover that too. Again, for more information on that workshop, go visit the link below. And if you want to learn more about everything livestock based and on grass, be sure to check out the podcast that Darby and I do at permaculturevoices.com/grassfed. Link for that below as well. It's a weekly podcast, new episodes coming out every Monday. And you can also find us on iTunes. I really want to thank Charles for taking some time out of his busy schedule and inviting us down to his farm to shoot these videos. It's very much appreciated. And also, I want to thank you for all the support that you give me for doing these videos through email in the comments below. I really appreciate it. I hope this one helped. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching, and until next time, be nice, be thankful, and do the work.